in till today, some things I wanted to circle back on and make sure we didn't miss. So you remember this slide yesterday. I really called you forward to start thinking about, and I wanted to double click into some of these things that I moved quickly through yesterday because I wanted to make sure we got through all of the content. But I want to start with, what does your ideal client, what do they think their problem is versus the real problem? Who remembers us talking about this yesterday? Do you guys remember us talking about this, right? Kim's like, yes, right? I want to recap and give you specific examples that you can take notes on because it's going to be applicable to what we do in the audit today. So, get your pen out and let's talk about this, okay? They don't know that your work is for them many times because you're not speaking to them about how the problem is showing up in their words. And this became very evident last night when I was in Circle looking at a lot of your content, right? Many of you are super proud of your methodologies and your process and your experts, and you're oversharing it in your feed, and you're not speaking to how their problem is showing up in their words, right? So let me give you an example, an analogy. How many of you have ever been to a dinner party and you sat beside someone who was like super excited about a topic that you really didn't care about? And they just were like incessantly talking. And you're just like, okay, like, awesome. That's great, right? We get so excited about our passion, about our methods, about our strategies. We overshare in a way that doesn't speak to our client. Right? And so we need to reframe and start thinking about how their problems are showing up in their words. So let me give you an example. Some of you, I saw in some of your content, you're using the word aligned a lot. You're not feeling aligned. Like, is that what they would really say? Like, is that how it's actually showing up for them? Right? They're not feeling aligned. Are those the words they would actually use? Right? Or would they actually say something like, I don't even want to show up and sell this. I'm not excited. I don't even want to go into Circle and chat with my clients. I'm actually not excited about the people inside my offers. And I actually feel really bad about it, right? There is a difference in misalignment and actually their symptoms, no matter what your business is, right? So stop using the word misaligned. They're not using those words. Use their symptoms, okay? Second thing, what does your offer uniquely solve for their problem, right? I talked about this a little bit yesterday, but I want to go deeper. You're not making yourself the only solution. I'm seeing it's very evident from a lot of what you all showed is that you're just sharing that you're a solution. You're a solution, but you're not the solution. I need you to highlight how you are different. How you are different, and the way you stand out in this noisy space is to not be a part of the noise. To not be a part of the noise, right? So stop talking about the same topics the same way as everyone else in your industry, right? I'm really excited. I picked someone's content today who's in the tax strategy space. Like, this can be very boring, but we can make it really sexy. This is how we can stand out. We're going to talk about it in the audit today. How do you become the solution? Right? Not a solution. So for instance, how I market myself in a noisy market. Am I the only business coach in the online space? Hell no. Am I the only person out here teaching about LinkedIn? Absolutely not. But you're here today, and most of you would probably agree that I have created a category of one in how I deliver, what I deliver, and what I'm known for, right? And in my messaging and what I stand for, what I'm speaking to in my ideal client is that you are a category of one, but you're blending in, and I can help you command attention, not desperately scream for it like a lot of the marketing that's out there that they teach. And I can teach you on LinkedIn with content that moves buyers to act through a unique and proprietary frameworks inside my paid communities, right? Now, what makes me unique even beyond that? And I'm sharing this with you because I want you to start thinking about how you're unique, how you're the solution, right? What makes me different are my frameworks, right? That hit very specifically in ways that create results for my clients. What makes me unique, even in teaching attraction marketing specifically with LinkedIn, is my frameworks that focus on premium buyer triggers, specifically calling them forward through activation, while my signature methods of tethering in my proprietary content frameworks in the feed that create continual curiosity and value, making it inevitable for my clients to make bank. Am I standing in my authority? Do I know what makes me unique? Did you hear how I just riffed off what makes me unique? I'm not a solution. I am the solution. It is my uniqueness. What is yours? What is yours? This is what I want you thinking about, right? Okay, so the other thing I wanted to double click into here on this slide that we talked about yesterday is what to shift in your messaging. I want to talk for a hot minute about specificity over generality. I want to go deep again with this today because we're going to talk about it in the audits, right? Things are changing in the industry. I've been in this industry for 7 years now and learning how to take my intellectual IP, bring it online, build a personal brand, and monetize it over and over and over again. And what I'm seeing is that specificity wins out right now, well over generality. Your audience is not looking for generality. You are here today because of my specificity in marketing, right? They are looking for a master. They are looking for mastery. They want to see specific content, not general examples. Like, for instance, how freaking specific was my example around Louise yesterday? I'm actually going to pull it up. Let's see if I can get it. When I say marketing to specificity, when you look at my content, I am as specific as I possibly can be. So when we look at this post, right? My hook, still telling yourself you're too quiet to make millions on the internet. Louise thought the same until she hit 300K. Let me introduce you to Louise. I get specific. This is someone who was shy, was afraid to be seen. I talked to her specific age. I talked about her specific corporate background. Listen, this is not for everyone. This is not for everyone, but I am getting very specific. When Louise found us, she was staring down a mortgage, drained savings, and a question that'll punch you in the gut. Am I too late for this? Right? So where I'm going with this is that messaging, you have to be willing to take a stand for who your audience is and get really fucking specific in who you're talking to, because that is what's going to make people jump to the screen and say, they're talking to me. We have to own it. And Louise is a ripple effect. If you heard the story about her yesterday, she doubled down. She got super niche. What took her from 90 to 300K that year? Not speaking in generality. We coached her on getting super niche, and she focused on heart-centered banks in specific provinces of Canada. She wasn't afraid to get super niche. Specificity over generality. Specificity over generality. Do not be afraid, right? I mean, and hello, we're here today because you don't just want clients. My specificity in marketing spoke to premium clients. I have hinged my entire brand for the last 7 years on premium clients. And what made my mark was premium client messaging. It's niche, right? More on specificity here. I am here to be a leader with influence and have never been here to be an influencer, right? Again, specificity. I have built my brand on this, and this is what people come to me for. Stacking millions of dollars, not millions of followers. Do you see how I can riff this off and differentiate myself in a heartbeat? Ken's like, yes. This is the authority I need you to stand in. This is the messaging I need you to stand in, right? With the you statements, we talked about this, the I and the me, right? I'm not going to get into that. But the other thing I wanted to hit on here, one more thing on messaging, is what to shift in your messaging. I'm going to jump straight here to number 4, this little star, because I wanted to give you a tangible example that you guys were asking about in Circle yesterday, right? And that was showing parts of your process that show the depths of your knowledge, but then also talking about a commonly discussed topic. So these are the two things I want to hit on. Again, If you weren't here yesterday, then this is just new to you. But I want you thinking about what are your steps? Because some of you are saying, well, I don't know what my process is. I don't know. You're so in it yourself, you can't see it, right? And if you took a step back, you have steps, you have process, you have method. Your unique take is hidden in your methodologies. Mine, when I started 7 years ago, when I knew I didn't want to make my life a diary on public to make millions. I like took myself more seriously than that. And I wasn't willing to just, use Facebook as my diary to scale $1 million business, right? I wanted to be a person of influence and respected as a thought leader. And I began to build a unique method, leveraging LinkedIn instead of influencing on other platforms. And my niche audience knows this is my genius. And I began to methodicize and framework it so that I could sell it, right? People buy process. Like the framework we're selling you today, the lead gen method, it is a freaking proven framework that thousands of people at this point have used to create millions of dollars, right? You have methods and processes, right? And to this day, I teach the platform for thought leadership and visibility with LinkedIn, a mile wide and a mile deep, that wide open blue ocean that many of you know and lovingly know as the build, drive, automate method. Build, drive, automate, right? So I want you thinking about that. And the other thing is, I know you guys wanted specifics on speaking about a commonly discussed topic from a different lens. Did some of you think about that last night? Like, how do I speak about a common topic from a different lens? Okay. Like, how do you do that? Right. So we were just having a conversation. Tisha, who was in our high touch coaching container last year, Elevate 360, and who came through the academy, the Lead Gen Academy. We really worked with her, massaged her LinkedIn. And I'll never forget when I said to her, I said, Tisha, like, how do you see things from a different perspective? And, everyone talks in, what do you see? Like, what frustrates you that most people talk about and you see it from a different angle, right? And she was like, well, Melissa, everyone talks about nutrition from this perspective. Remember this, Jackie? She was like, everyone talks about it from this perspective, but it's bullshit. Here's what's really working. Do you remember this conversation, Jackie? And it was like for the first time ever, and she's highly introverted. She was just sitting under fumes, not talking about it on LinkedIn for fear of being radically different in perspective around nutrition than everyone else. And the moment she stepped into her power and called bullshit and owned it and talked about it from a different lens, her business blew up. You can go check her out today. She still stands on this, demystifying and speaking to. And here's the thing. When she shifted her messaging, she stepped into her power, right? And her business really took off. But I want to underscore here that this doesn't mean we're slamming people, right? This doesn't mean we're slamming people. This just means we're encouraging people to think from a different angle and calling people forward to a higher level of leadership that's embodied in how we show up, right? From an anchored place of responsibility, not from a place of judgment, not from shame, not from bandwagon, just from authority, right? Position yourself. This is the missing piece. You think this is your problem, but this is actually your problem. And speak from authority. I'm a goddamn genius at this. And this is where it's a win-win for you and I, right? So the question is, do you see yourself as the authority? And if the answer is hell yes, like, let's go. Like if the answer is sometimes, right? When people are buying, if your authority is conditional, right? You can't see yourself as an authority only when it's working, right? Only when you're making money, because people begin to see through that in your content, right? If you want to be making 5 figures a day in your business, you can't have conditional authority, right? We have to be anchored in our authority that your frequency cannot be screwed with, regardless of if anyone bought today, or if your launch is not going well, or if a client asks for a refund. This is an internal decision, and that's not really part of this workshop. But I have to say, messaging must match your frequency, because if your frequency is low, it's going to show up in your content. So I wanted to hit on that. Okay. All right. What else did I want to hit on? Okay. I also wanted to double click into this for a second. If you're focused on those content pillars that we talked about yesterday, and you don't have a bigger funnel in the picture, you're leaving millions on the table, right? So we talked about this a little bit yesterday, that it's not just content pillars, right? We need to be thinking about the top of our funnel and where we're driving. And I want to re-hit on this today because it's probably costing you hundreds of thousands of dollars per year, maybe millions for some of you, right? You know, if you're in my high touch containers and in my frameworks that we teach, this makes a huge difference, right? The first million we made in this first quarter of 2025 was from our offer flows. It was not from our launches, right? It was the way our offers and funnels speak to each other and our messaging from the very beginning, because our offers wouldn't flow from low to high ticket if our messaging at the bottom spoke low ticket to, when I say low ticket, to a low quality lead. Is this making sense? So we always want to be speaking to our ideal premium client, even at the lowest ticket, because in this market, even the most premium client many times wants a taster of experience with you before they're going to invest. And if you give them your leftovers, they're never going to move up the ascension ladder. They're never going to buy anything else, right? Because your messaging needs to be on point with your content at every point of content that you put out, right? And so this really speaks to threading. We want to thread our content with our ideal client in mind. And this kind of speaks to the proprietary stuff I talk about inside our paid containers. But we need to know the thought leadership, like why people are on LinkedIn today. How are you expanding them? How are you meeting them where they are? And leveraging why we know people are on the platform, right? So for example, because I know you guys wanted some examples, right? So for example, we know people come to LinkedIn for growth and networking and professional development, thought leadership, all those things. This is some of the frameworks we talk about inside. And we need to speak to them in a way that meets them why they're on the platform. This is where I was saying earlier, you can't just cross post on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn and expect the same result. So let me give you a finite example. Let me give you a very definitive example of this, okay? If you are a high ticket infant sleep coach, which some of you were like, does that exist? Yes, we've had a client who charged $20,000 to come into your house in Silicon Valley and help your infant sleep. Okay. Now, that message is going to look very different on Instagram with the mom who's zoning out, which the large majority of people zoning out over there can't afford her services anyway. We have to remember why the high level executive is on LinkedIn in the first place. If you've got a high level executive making $500,000 a year who's home on maternity leave, or God forbid she's already back and she only took 2 weeks off, she's likely scrolling the feed because she's thinking, I can't handle all of this. I'm not performing well at work. I'm exhausted. I can't keep it all together. I'm foggy headed. What I want you to hear me saying is I know the psychology of the premium buyer. I know her pain and I know her symptoms on LinkedIn have a hell of a lot more to do with her own performance at work than you talking to her specifically about the sleep of her baby. Is this making sense? So when you're marketing and you're creating content on LinkedIn, we have to tether back to why the end user is on the platform. She's probably feverishly looking for a possible lateral or demotion because she's thinking she can't keep it all together, right? And you catch her in the feed with her main symptom of not being able to keep up at work, not the sleep itself, but the lack of performance, the foggy headed, like not having the time to get the work done. And you meet her square between the eyes and in the soul, inspiring her that she doesn't have to give it up, that actually she can show up fully rested, that she can be back on her A game. You are calling her forward. You are calling her forward and you're speaking to her symptoms the way she sees them. And guess what, my friends? And some of you, this might piss you off. Solve rich people's problems because they pay fast to get rid of the symptom. Right? And so if we can start by solving premium clients, rich clients' problems first, they pay quickly to get the symptom fixed and she's back to work. The baby is sleeping. Do you see how the messaging is completely different? Is this making sense? Right? On knowing the psychology of why the end user. I could do this over and over and over again, but I got to move on. I could give you a lot of examples, but the thing I want you thinking about is, and the points that we talk about inside the academy is we need to hit on a couple different notes. Authority. We need to bring forward case studies so we can relate that it's not just you, right? We need to tether in relatability, and we go deep on these frameworks inside the academy. And then secondly, we need to weave this with dimension. What do I mean weave this with dimension? When I say weave with dimension, what I mean is that everyone doesn't consume content the same way. You may prefer video, you may prefer long form written, but your audience is a variety. So when we're creating content, we need to hit on the buying triggers and the keynotes and buying psychology, but we also need to show up on the platform with dimension. That means long form video, short form video, written long form articles with SEO to be seen over on Google, short form, newsletters, Canva, right? Again, I can't get into the depths of this here. We have all the frameworks you guys can grab in the lead gen method, but it's important that we weave these in so that we're actually being seen by the end user how they prefer to read. I like a video. Jackie loves a long form newsletter. You're not going to get Jackie with a short video. You're not going to get me with a long form newsletter, but both of us are really interested in a lot of the same things. Is this making sense? We have to create dimension. Okay. Now, let's see if I can get through this in 2 or 3 minutes so we can get over to the audits. The 8-figure offer flow. What did I want to say here? Your messaging and offer flow should be for your dream ideal client. End of story, regardless of price. If you've been in my world for any period of time, you know I am always speaking to the premium client. I am speaking to you now. Some of you may or may not have arrived at that place. Great. I just raised your frequency, but I am here to over deliver and speak to my premium client every day, right? If you create offers and messaging to clients that you don't want to work with long-term or that don't move up your ascension ladder to your more expensive, more high proximity offers, you are clogging your funnel and you're breaking it. And you're actually capping your income, right? And you're lowering your own frequency because you're questioning your own work because the people that you're working with aren't getting the results that you're designed to give, right? And it's impacting your frequency and how you're showing up, right? When I signed up, I want to give you an example. And I'm going to say this again, premium client, $1 million client doesn't mean they have $1 million in the bank. It is a mindset and emotion, right? When I signed up for my first $30,000 mastermind alongside a $12,000 investment with a one-on-one coach, who knows in the chat how much money I'd made in my business? How much money had I made in my business at that point when I pulled up a chair into a room of women with 6 and 7 figure businesses? Who knows? How much money did I have? I'd made $1,200 bucks. $1,200 bucks, right? Now here's the point. I was still a premium client. I had all the characteristics of a woman in a 6 and 7 figure business because I resonated and I knew it was around the corner for me. Work ethic was not an issue, right? I would have been turned off by anything less. It was a mindset and I wanted to be in the proximity because I knew I could get there. Right? I had the receipts to back it up. When you look at my career history, I'm always show up. It's not a work ethic issue, right? When I enrolled Aaron, who wired me $30,000 within 2 days of meeting me, Michelle, Darla, Louise, all these people that you're meeting who are running and making me look great because they were premium clients. And by the way, most of them didn't have an offer before they came in. So I'm not here to say that they had $1 million in a business they'd already grown. Many of you are marketing, you're marketing to a mindset as much as you are a rich client with money in the bank. Is this making sense? We're meeting people who are activated and ready to go, right? Okay. Last thing I want to say on this is the threading, right? Is there a thread from your offers? You guys are sitting in on a free masterclass. Everything again around the black is like free. Download this freebie, join this free masterclass. Everything has purposeful movement. You'll notice we're inviting you to come in and invest in the lead gen method. We're inviting you to come in to our high proximity inner circle to coach you. And here's the cool thing. Some of you, before we're done today, We'll invest in our $10,000 intensive group inner circle coaching where we work with you week to week under your hood in close proximity from sitting through something free today, right? Because why? Because our messaging is speaking to the premium client, even though our content is free. Does this make sense? Everything we do has purpose and proximity, right? We have our build, grow, scale, right? And our business mastermind. Somebody was asking questions about this. Yeah, we'll talk about it. So inside of our close proximity, what I wanted to say here is you should have a well-operated business where your offers don't stand alone. They stack and they sequence and they cross-sell to each other, even the lowest ticket. So like the lead gen method teaches you how to build the top of your funnel with premium high traffic, right? Especially LinkedIn. And this fills the funnel, creates authority, and attracts your people like magnets. Build community before you build your bank account. But guess what? The traffic without strategic offer flow that compounds doesn't get our clients nearly the results. So what happens next or in the same proximity is build, grow, scale, right? Our clients immediately are like, oh my gosh, the funnel is running. Now what, right? So build, grow, scale exists for businesses at the next step. It's an additional no-brainer to take your offer flow strategy and do what we've done to compound income to create the 8-figure business that we are through conversion engines, taking the traffic from lead gen and funneling it through the engine that converts, that sells, right? Do you see how our offers speak to each other, right? Many of our clients will jump all in and say, I want to go into the inner circle immediately for the year where I have access to both. Those are the activated premium clients ready to run. Other clients are like, you know what? I'd rather just be on the front porch of your community and join the hive. I just want the taster, some proximity, but I'm not ready to go all in, right? Everything in our sequence speaks to each other. Everything in our sequence speaks to each other. So I hope this makes sense. All right. Now, I am so excited. I'm going to get into our 4 audits for the day. I'm going to try to spend, 5 or 6 minutes on each audit that I do. Before I do that, really quickly, just a reminder that we do have a rapid action bonus going on through tomorrow night. Is it tomorrow night or is it tonight? I think it's actually tonight. It was a 48-hour bonus. The doors to the lead gen method are open. It's the first time ever, if you know me, you know, we've never created access to our frameworks alone. It has always been a $5,500 threshold intensive coaching to access our frameworks. We're actually, for the first time ever, and maybe the only time, not sure, we're trying new things here. You can get into the lead gen method and grab all of our frameworks for under $1,000 and you get lifetime access. You can break it up into 3 monthly payments, or you can get it in full and grab our pay in full bonuses, which includes a live event ticket and a personal audit on your work from me. Okay. So that's what's on the table. And then secondly, I just want to underscore, there's some of you who really leaned in when we started talking about offer flows. And many of you are thinking way bigger than just your top of funnel brand messaging with LinkedIn, but you are thinking about your offer flow and how you're compounding income and how you need business mentorship with Jackie and I literally looking under the hood of your business on a weekly basis, getting to know you, getting to know your business, and supporting you for a year. And we are offering you access to the inner circle. It's a full year of close proximity, live coaching on a weekly basis with Jackie and I, where you get full access and lifetime access to not only our lead gen method frameworks, but all of our build, grow, scale frameworks. What I will tell you is the lead gen method is what allowed me to hit the $1 million mark without paying a dime for ads. Build, grow, scale is what's allowed me to compound and become a multimillionaire. It's created the compound effect in my business, right? So know that those are on the table. Those of you who jump into the inner circle, we actually are giving you a private one-on-one strategy session with Jackie and I, and an upgrade to the gold VIP experience. Okay, so things to think about. Okay, now what I'm going to do is it's audit time. Now, I am going to start with Marilyn. Marilyn, are you here, my friend? Not sure if Marilyn's here, but I'm going to give her some feedback. And I'm going to tell you kind of the way I approached this. So for Marilyn, she started with if you're earning 6 to 7 figures and still overpaying the IRS, this is for you. Now, when I looked at her content, now Marilyn, it was good. It was good. However, I wanted to see more instant authority and I wanted to see a more clear transformation and a call to action that really called forward the premium client, right? So the first thing I did here, and this may or may not be your personality, but do you know how earlier I talked about how you can either be a solution or the solution, right? And you can either stand out or be a part of the noise. So when I see if you're earning 6 or 7 figures and still overpaying the IRS, this is for you. To me, that's part of the noise because I feel like anyone in the financial space could say that. And again, this may or may not be your personality, but I reframed it instead, still earning 6 to 7 figures and tipping the IRS. To me, that stops the scroll because there's some humor in it. Right? I'm not just saying, are you still overpaying in taxes? Right? I'm like creating some humor to stop the scroll. Like, oh gosh, tipping the IRS. What's she talking about? Right? The next thing I put in here is, she says, every year entrepreneurs like you lose tens of thousands in unnecessary taxes, not because you're doing anything wrong, but because you're missing these critical blind spots. So I'm going to talk about that in a second. But one of the things that, I put in here to create more command and authority instead of desperation. And just hear me out on this. Where you say, if you're earning 6 to 7 figures and still overpaying in the IRS, this is for you. When you say this is for you, I don't know about the rest of you, but to me, again, that's part of the noise. Like, don't you feel like that's part of the noise? Like, how many times have you heard the average infomercial say, this is for you? Keep reading, read on. And this comes from a place of love, Marilyn. I know that like you wanted some feedback, so I'm giving it to you. I want you to stand in your authority instead of desperate energy. To me, this is for you is desperate energy. When you are calling forward that you are the solution, instead, I want you to say, let's fix that. Do you see the difference in positioning there from this is for you to calling in command and saying, let's fix that. Like, I am the fucking authority. Let me help you fix this, right? Now, the next thing is, again, every year entrepreneurs like you lose tens of thousands of unnecessary taxes, not because you're doing anything wrong, but because you're missing these critical blind spots. What I put in here instead is high income entrepreneurs lose tens of thousands every year, not because they're sloppy, but because they're strategic in the wrong season. Okay. So I reframed it and let me explain to you why. Again, she said every year entrepreneurs like you lose tens of thousands in unnecessary taxes, not because you're doing anything wrong, but because you're missing these critical blind spots. When you say you're missing these critical blind spots, we're kind of calling them out versus calling them forward. Does that make sense? And there's a lot of ego on LinkedIn and there's a lot of ego with our premium client. So what I thought you could do is give a little nod to the ego. And this is important for all of you. Give a little nod to the ego. So what I said is instead of saying you're missing these critical blind spots, I said not because you're sloppy, but because they're strategic in the wrong season. So I'm calling them out and saying a nod to the ego of like, you are strategic. I'm going to acknowledge that. You're just doing it in the wrong season. Do you see the difference in positioning there and tone, and a little bit of a nod to the ego, right? Now, you also put compliance as just the beginning. Strategy is where the savings are. Great. I like to say more with less when I can. So I actually came back with just compliance is the baseline, right? Like compliance is the baseline of being a business owner, right? And then also you then gave the 3 tax blind spots costing high income business owners serious money. Again, I am a woman who, if you can say more with less, it's going to create more impact. When you can read less and create more impact. So what I did is I actually said, You said here are three tax blind spots costing high income business owners certain serious money. I just said here's where most high earners get blindsided. Way less words. They already know that they're business owners. We've already read through part of the feed. There's no reason to say business owner over and over again, right? We're just wasting real estate and losing impact, right? So I made that shorter. And also with these numbers, 1, 2, and 3, you will see, again, Marilyn, they're great. The blind spots are great. I just challenge you to get even more succinct, right? So where you said you wait until tax season to deal with taxes, by the time you're reviewing numbers in March or April, your best planning opportunities are gone. I just got a little bit more succinct. Tax season is your first move. By March, you're already too late. Real savings requires strategy. Do it before December 31st. So you see how I'm just getting a little bit more succinct? Same thing with the second bullet, right? You assume your CPA is doing tax strategy. Most CPAs focus on compliance and filing. Strategic planning, this is a different skill set and a different conversation. I just made it more succinct. You assume your CPA is handling tax strategy. Most focus on filing, not forecasting. Compliance does not equal wealth strategy. Do you see how succinct my number 2 is? Are you guys seeing this? So it's like, how can you say more with less with the premium client who's plowing through LinkedIn and make it highly consumable? Same thing with number 3. I turned what you said into a little bit more succinct. You haven't structured your business for scale. Again, now we're speaking to being stuck. When you use that type of words, you haven't structured your business to scale versus think about this difference. I said your business outgrew your tax structure. Very nuanced, but I see Sharon and Pam are like nodding. They're like, yes, right? Like we've gone from calling them out on being a hot mess, not being structured, to actually saying your business outgrew your tax structure. You're a badass, right? You just took off and now we need to reframe. Do you see the difference? Do you see the difference? Okay. All right. She says she's seeing. All right. So let's move on to Alicia. So Alicia, this is a really good one, Alicia. Thanks for sharing yours. So with Alicia's content, she's speaking to her ideal client. And what I found was that you are really harping on being stuck and scared. And I wanted to shift that tone from being stuck and scared to a tone of activating and empowering. And we want to be able to move forward this mid-career, high-achieving woman. And we want to do it in a way that we acknowledge that she's done tolerating and ready to take the lead in their lives again. So we want to pull forward. I hope you're seeing that we want to activate and pull forward and not rub backs and keep people stuck, right? Okay, so what you have led with is I'm tired, but at least I have a job, right? That's what so many midlife professional women are whispering to themselves right now. You're mid-career, you've worked hard, your job pays well. From the outside, everything should feel okay. All right. So yes, you are meeting her in her pain, but you're also meeting her where she's stuck. And the nuanced verbiage is going to be the difference in who you attract, who's actually willing to do the work versus the one who's going to want you to rub their back and suck the life out of you, right? And so if you can shift your verbiage, instead of saying I'm tired, but at least I have a job and everything else here, what if we take a nod to the ego and pull her forward, right? So instead we say, you've got the title, the paycheck, the resume, but let's be honest, you are built for more. Now, Pam's nodding her head. Do you see how different that content is, right? So we are going from being tired and stuck and at least to have a job to you've been built for more. You've got all the things. You've got the receipts to back it up, but you know you were built for more. And the next thing I put in here is you didn't climb the ladder just to feel invisible. You didn't do everything right just to end up uninspired, right? You're not tired because you're weak. You're tired because you've outgrown what no longer fits. Do you see how we're pulling her forward? Again, not far different than the messaging with the tax strategist above. We're nodding to the ego and saying, you've just outgrown where you are, right? You're activating them. You're not wallowing with them. Now you are magnetizing this premium client, right? You're calling them forward. You're not rubbing their back. The next thing you have is, but inside, you feel burned out, disconnected, uninspired. You're feeling stuck going through the motions, secretly wondering, is this all there is? Is this all there is? I reframed this for you and said, and deep down, you know it. You're not here to go through the motions. You're here to lead, to grow, to build what's next. So again, I'm shifting your verbiage from stuck and uninspired and burned out to what you were born to do, what you were born to do, right? Yes, Christina, it's hard but great. When you change your verbiage, it will change who reaches out to you. It will change who you're reaching out, who's reaching out to you, right? I can't tell you how many speakers come to my Burnout to All Out live event. My team can attest to this. My guest speakers, they come and they are like, I have never met such an amazing community ever. These people are so high vibe, collaborative, kind, but direct. Guess what? It comes from my messaging, who I'm calling forward and who I don't tolerate. Like the train is running. You can jump on or get left behind, right? You choose who you're calling forward. The energy you put out, also your frequency, is a reflection of the clients who are coming to you. And that's hard for some of you to hear, right? Okay. Let's see. Now you've got some more verbiage here. Let's talk about the real cost of staying stuck, missed opportunities, months or years of feeling unfulfilled, right? We're just driving the pain, right? What I suggested is a little bit more uplifting. So the only thing in your way is clarity. Clarity on what's next, clarity on who you are, clarity that reignites your confidence, your energy, and your ability to choose boldly again, right? We're bringing them back to their power, right? And it calls them forward. It calls them forward, right? And the last thing I have here is I reframed, because you said this is the work I do every day with women in transition, helping them move from feeling stuck, from being burned out, and from drifting, right? So again, we've got all these words of like lack. And what I put in instead and said less with more was I work with powerhouse women in midlife who are ready to reclaim direction, momentum, and joy in their careers without burning it all down, right? Okay, so little bit of examples. Okay, I've got some more for you. So this one is for Rachel Blanton. And Rachel, you had a great post really calling for an upcoming event, right? And I wanted to encourage you to shift to a more authority anchored post that was more activating and really calling forward these serious career professionals who are ready to up level, not just get by, right? And so I actually shifted your hook. Your current hook says, I'm running a free 1-hour session to support job seekers, and I'd love to invite you or someone you know to join. I changed this because to me, you led with I. Twice you said I. I'm running, I'd love, right? And let's start with a hook that catches their attention. So I said, top talent doesn't get lost in the noise. They cut through it, right? So we're just leading with a really powerful statement of being seen in the noise, which was kind of part of your message later, right? Ignite your job career, job seekers cut through the noise, right? I want you to lead with that, not I, right? So skip the I and lead with a really powerful hook. So what I put in here is if you're in the market or considering a move, now is not the time to wing it or wait. I'm hosting a power-packed, no-fluff live session to help career professionals like you refine your message, maximize visibility, and attract the right opportunities, right? Okay. So the other thing I wanted to point out here is down here. I gave you a different kind of call to action at the bottom. I put, this is for quietly ambitious professionals who are done watching less qualified candidates get picked first and ready to take control of their career narrative. Again, we are calling forward that they are ambitious. We are calling forward that they are qualified. We are calling forward that they're likely more qualified than their competitors. They're just not being seen. Again, we're nodding to the ego and calling them forward, right? Is this making sense? Oh, good. Christina says I'm not missing a word. Okay, good, good, good. All right. So that was my feedback there. I've got another one I want to share with you all. And then I'm going to give you some feedback here. And then what I'd love to do is I'm going to share with you all what's on the back end inside of our academy or inside of our lead gen method, because I know that there's been a number of questions about what's actually in the frameworks, but I want to get through this first. Okay. So, and I apologize. I did not save this person's name, but they work with disabled business owners. So if this is you, you can let us know in the chat. But I thought this was a really great example for me to land on and show you how you can take a really long form text heavy post and actually create some gold out of it. Okay. Now, again, on occasion, a super long form post like this is okay. And I didn't have time to go look at all of your posts, so I don't know if this is how you're always posting. But again, Jackie will tell you, Jackie loves a good long form post. I will never read this if it wasn't my job yesterday to do some auditing. You would never catch my attention. I would just be like, gone, right? So you just have to keep that in mind. But what I love about this is there's so much good juice in this that you could make so much out of it. So if I was going to recreate a piece of content like this, I would not personally post it in my feed. I would make an article out of it. And if you join the lead gen method, Jackie teaches you like keywords that you're going to fold into that article, so that specifically when you're talking to people who are disabled business owners, like you're going to be found on Google, like the search is insane, right? So this is not wasted. This is beautiful content, but I would turn it into an article if it's going to be this lengthy, or you can turn it into a newsletter. Like I could see you really focusing on serving disabled business owners. You may create a weekly newsletter on LinkedIn that really focuses on this. And this is where people are psychologically ready to hunker down and read that newsletter when it comes to them, versus it coming in this feed where people are just used to just little bite-sized nibbles, the attention span of a gnat. So what I did is I gave you two options here. Well, three. Number one is go turn it into an article. Do the keyword so it's highly optimized. It's going to work for you off platform. Turn it into a newsletter, so as is, so those are two examples, or take it and make it much more short form. So what I did here is made it very short form, but stop the scroll. And I actually took out a lot of the I. So you spoke a lot to the I up here. And also, you're really taking a bit of a victim approach in this first paragraph, which is why I would really take the I out and kind of pull yourself out of being the victim in the story and step into your power and speak to your audience, right? Instead of really speaking with the I. So business shouldn't be built on exclusion. So see, I completely took out the I. I'm standing in my power, right? I want to speak directly and boldly to you, right? Business shouldn't be built on exclusion, yet disabled entrepreneurs face hidden costs that others never see. Gatekeeping disguised as norms, productivity measured by outdated standards, and trust tied to how fast you respond, not the value that you bring. The truth, asynchronous work isn't avoidance, it's a strategy for sustainable excellence. Accessible design isn't an afterthought, it's essential infrastructure. Disabled founders don't lack drive, they lack systems built with them in mind. This is more than a business model. It's a movement to normalize dismantle assumptions, and design new standard where innovation includes everyone from the ground up. Now, when you create something short form like this, you're much higher likelihood that they're going to stop their scroll and actually read it versus that super long text. Because your super long text, I didn't get to the really powerful punchlines at the end, but when I create this short form text, the reader can get to the movement. They can talk about normalizing differences. They can get to the dismantling of assumptions. But you're never going to get there with this meaty piece of content in a feed. No one's going to get to the action and the punchline at the end, right? So I would love to see you make it more succinct. The last option that you can take, that we do this a lot, take the long form and turn it into a carousel. Again, we have the attention span of a gnat as adults, even on LinkedIn, doesn't matter where you are. And what we have found is long form does really well if you can turn it into bite-sized nibble swipes. Do you know what I mean by the carousels? How many of you go through the feed and you swipe and it's like a little story and you swipe and you swipe and you swipe. And for whatever reason, it's way more digestible to get through the content swiping with your little finger than it is to read all of that text on one page, right? So one of the things you could do is pull this content and turn it into a carousel. And we do this all the time. Go look at my feed, right? So business wasn't built with us in mind. It's time to rewrite the rules for disabled entrepreneurs. The next slide. Most people don't see the invisible tax disabled founders pay to run their businesses. They see outcomes, but not the energy it costs to show up, right? And I just go on and on. I take you through slide 3. Let's talk about what this really looks like. And then I go into here's the truth. And then we go to slide number 5, which is the system isn't neutral. It rewards speed over sustainability, right? So I'm getting your core messages, but I'm making it way more tangible, or digestible is the word I'm looking for here, right? Slide 6, that's why accessible business design isn't optional. It's a non-negotiable for equity, sustainability, and scale. This is the punchline, right? But if it's buried in 15 paragraphs, the average reader is not going to get to it, right? Then we call forward. Slide 7, I build for the entrepreneur who works differently, lead boldly, and refuse to fit in the box where they were never meant to be. We're calling them forward instead of telling a victim story. You see what I'm saying? We're calling them forward, right? The future of ethical entrepreneurship, it's inclusive, it's sustainable, it's built with and for all of us. And then you've got this powerful CTA. So we always have a powerful CTA on our final slide. This is the threading of your funnels. Where are you sending people? It's not just a nice to have to read the content. Where do they go to work with you? Where do they go to learn more? Okay. Is this making sense for you all? Yeah? Does it make sense? Okay, awesome. I know we're at the hour. What I'm going to do really quickly before we wrap up is, because this is our last day together. Let me pull up. I'm going to remind you, because I know some of our friends are probably going to jump off. A couple of quick parting words. And then for those of you that stay on, we're just going to review the back end of Circle for you to show you what's in the lead gen method and what's in the inner circle. Okay. So final words before we jump into that, just a final note on the bonuses for those 48-hour bonuses. Anyone who pays in full is getting a live event ticket in the first 48 hours. The inner circle investment who pays in full actually gets a gold ticket, which is an additional day in Miami. It's a VIP experience. You're getting brand photos, private dinner, all the things. So that's in the first 48 hours. You guys have details in your inbox. The first 20 who pay in full, regardless of whether it's with the inner circle or where you're all in, or it's the lead gen method with the frameworks, we're giving you a custom audit. This work that I did today, you're going to submit your content and I am personally going to give you feedback. It's my gift to you for being the first 20 that invest in our frameworks or inside the inner circle. And we'll let you know, we'll announce in circle when we've hit that number. So you're good for now. And the pay in full who join us in the inner circle, just know that my also additional bonus is you get a one-on-one strategy session with me. We only do this in my high level mastermind. We've never done this before. Jackie and I are doing one-on-one strategy sessions with our brand new inner circle clients that are all in with us for a full year because it helps us get really anchored into your business in the first month that we're together for that year. You're going to fill out an intake form that we have our mastermind clients fill out to fully understand your 90, 160, 360-day goals with your business and everything around it. So that is our gift for anyone who pays in full and cannonballs into the inner circle, where you get access to all of our frameworks and high proximity coaching for the year. Okay. Now, with that, I know some of you are going to hop off before I review the circle, but if you need to work on your business and build a personal brand to monetize it, there is no better place in 2025 than working with us. I've done it. I have the receipts to back it up. I've been working with clients for over 7 years on how to build personal brands, monetize, and scale and grow your personal IP to create a freedom-based life where you can live and be and do wherever you want. I'm headed to Iceland on Monday for 2 weeks. I'm bringing the kids thanks to my business, right? And we'll be printing money while I'm gone. Right. And so, there's really no better place to be. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you really want to skyrocket in 2025, pull up a chair. We do things differently and we're highly strategic and hands-on, specifically in the inner circle. So with that, hope to see you guys on the inside. You'll get information on that. Now, for those of you still hanging out and wanting to see what is inside our lead gen method, I want to underscore with the lead gen method, this is not the lead gen academy. The lead gen method academy is our high touch LinkedIn coaching that we've done for the last 7 years. Over the last 7 years, the only way to get access to my frameworks has been to invest $5,500 in my high proximity coaching in the lead gen academy. This is the first time ever, and maybe only, we're testing the market with where we are in 7 years in business and where we're headed. Jackie and I are really elevating in who we work with at high proximity in the inner circle. And we're wanting to make the frameworks available to more people and help people self-select when they're ready for higher level business mentorship, which is why we're shifting from our current business model, right? So we'll be working at a higher proximity with our inner circle clients who are not only working on their top of funnel strategy, but working with us in Build, Grow, Scale with actually how to create the sales engine to compound on the back end with their offer flows, right? So just to give you guys the why behind. So inside of Build, I want you to see though that in investing in the lead gen method, you're getting access to all of our framework, like all of it. This is not, a couple of pieces here and there. You're going to get the full frameworks for Build, which is everything we teach with building a personal brand on LinkedIn. Okay. Then you're also going to get Drive, which is the phase 2 of Build, Drive, Automate, right? So Build is building that personal brand. Drive is really driving the conversation, driving the messaging. We're talking about, for instance, creating carousels. It's like, oh my God, Melissa, all I can do is write content. I don't know how to turn it into a carousel. We teach you how to do that. Oh my gosh, how do I write an article? We teach you how to do that. Newsletters, all the things, Canva training. Live events, how to go live, how to grow that strategic network that I talked about that many of you are missing right now. In 48 minutes, I blow your mind on the 5 strategies we take to specifically grow a targeted audience that engages and converts and sells, right? We teach you how to leverage business pages, how to close high ticket sales. We're talking about creator mode versus the creator tools, right? And even though this is a framework that you're investing in, you actually get to see some of the hot seats that we've done in the past in giving clients feedback. Now, if you invest, I think it's in the first 48 hours, we're giving you 3 live Q&As with me anyway. All the details are in your emails. But I just want you to see, I'm even giving you access to my business planning, which I typically only coach inside my higher level business mentorship. I'm giving this to you as a gift inside of the method, the lead gen method. And then the final piece to the lead gen method is automate. So build is about really building your brand, building your messaging. Drive is about driving the platform, driving the conversations into the DMs, and creating and hitting on all of the different sales psychology notes for the premium buyer and doing it in dimensions that attract. Automate is about creating systems and process on LinkedIn that make your life easier, give you your time back, and actually even allow you to delegate out some of the work. So this is the third step in the process of the lead gen method, right? So this is really where we automate, right? So I wanted you to see that this is the beauty of everything, my life's work, that you get access to inside of the lead gen method. You're literally getting all the frameworks for a lifetime. Like you get full access into any updates that we put in there. And I'm actually going to be recording and training on some new Chat GPT stuff, and even leveraging Chat GPT for specific network stuff in the coming weeks. So that's what you get access to. So it's, again, we may never do this again. We're testing the market. We're playing with it, right? This is your opportunity to check it out. And in saying that, I do just want to cast for some of you the bigger vision, right? We talked about this actually inside my coaching group yesterday. Lead gen method, LinkedIn in general, is a top of funnel strategy. We, in 2025, in order to generate business online, we must have a personal brand somewhere. You choose where you want to put, a leg to stand on. We choose LinkedIn, right? And the question is, once you build that personal brand, once you create the messaging, once you've generated the network and you're converting over into the DMs, right? The next step, what we talked about earlier, is the offer flow. Where are you driving that traffic to? Right? And that's where the inner circle really comes in, and how we've been able to compound and go from $1 million a year company to the 10 million that we've made is because of our offer flows and our strategies to drive traffic. We grab the traffic from LinkedIn, but what are you doing with it? Like, what are you methodically and strategically doing with it? We are very strategically pulling that traffic onto my email list. And we teach this inside of Build, Grow, Scale. We teach you how do you capture the traffic and then own the traffic and then market to the traffic. Many of you are here. None of you are here because of a Facebook ad because we didn't run them, right? Many of you are actually here because of my offer flow, because of what we teach inside of our higher level business coaching of lead generation through email marketing, through our offer flow, right? Some of you are in here from the Hive, right? And so this is some of the stacked offer flow stuff that we teach over inside of Build, Grow, Scale. And the only reason I bring that up is because some of you may be sitting on this thinking, do I just need the frameworks? Or do I need to invest with Melissa for a year in the inner circle, right? Do I need the direct mentorship? And do I need to just take the rocket fuel and pair the engine that converts to the top of funnel messaging strategy and put them together and create quantum leaps in my business? And for those of you who've been circling around my academy for a while, if you run the numbers, you'll know that the inner circle for a year is actually as cost effective, if not less expensive, than investing in the academy for a half a year. And this is a strategic move for Jackie and I, because we want to work for a longer period of time, more intensely with clients on high-level business strategy that includes lead generation with LinkedIn, but that's not the end-all be-all. That we're teaching them how to take those leads through the entire engine of their business. That's what the inner circle is about, right? So just things to think about. You guys have all the details in your email. Before we wrap up, there's 136 of you here. Does anybody have any questions about the programs? Let me look. I want to make sure I'm not like blowing somebody off for a conference call right now. Hang on a second. No, I'm still good. Um, oh, we had this for an hour and a half. I thought we only had this for an hour. I'm laughing. Um, any questions? Does anybody have any questions about the lead gen method or the inner circle since we have a couple minutes before we wrap up? Let me see the chat here. Yeah, so the hive, great question. The hive to me is the way I've been explaining the hive, and we've had so much great success. I don't know if any of you are in the hive, share your experience in the chat. The hive is the front porch and the back porch of burnout to all out. Again, I told you we're innovating. I've been in business for 7 years, right? And up until this year, literally the only way to get into proximity with me was to pay at least $5,500 to get in the room, right? And what we're running into in 2025, and it's just maturation of industry. The industry is maturing, and there's quite a trust recession in the online business mentorship space, right? So what I've done is adapted to that. For many of you, and most of you have been in my space for a while, or you wouldn't have shown up here. But for cold traffic specifically, people just don't jump in and invest $5,500 anymore. Like they want. And I talk about this the past 2 days. Many premium clients still want to experience you before they're going to invest. They still want a taster menu of what it's like to be with you before they invest, right? And this is full circle with the hive. And the flip side is we have clients who move all the way through our ascension model. They come through lead gen method. They've gone through build, grow, scale. They've joined our high ticket mastermind. They've renewed in the mastermind for 2 or 3 years. And then they're finally like, this has been phenomenal. I love the community, but I'm done with all the frameworks and coaching. Where do I go? And we've never had anything for them. It's just been like, well, I don't know. I guess we'll see you later, right? So what we did this year, and it's worked beautifully, is the hive is the front porch and back porch to burn out to all out. You can come in through the front porch and hang out with us where you get some group. It's a larger group. There's hundreds of people in there. I go in there every other month. Opposite months, Jackie goes in and does hot seat coaching. You get a taster menu of some of our modules. We have guest experts that come in there and speak. But the reality is the goal is for you, it's a taster menu, but at high value, right? Because I'm still speaking to my premium client. I want you to get your socks knocked off. So you want to move through my ascension ladder, right? It's the back porch of burnout to all out because all of our mastermind clients are joining it now. Like I was just telling my team, I was literally at a field day event here locally and ran into a client who was in my $30,000 mastermind last year. And she was like, oh my God, I joined the hive. It's been amazing, right? These are people who've worked all the way through our ascension model, but love the proximity and the vibe and the community. So it's really a front porch, back porch. We have networking events. For those of you who decide that the inner circle is a stretch for you and you're not ready to go there, but you're going to grab the framework today and really get working on the lead gen method, I highly recommend you add the hive because you're going to be able to jump into the hot seats. You're going to be able to jump into a community. One of the number one exercises we have you do in the lead gen method is the brand voice workshop. Anybody here do the brand voice? Has anybody done the brand voice workshop yet? Some of you have already done it, right? So it's the first thing we have you do, even in the hive. Even in the hive, like I said, we're treating you just like we treat our premium clients, like because you are premium clients. So in the hive, in all of our groups, we're having them do a brand voice exercise to build out their brand voice as a document that Jackie's trained on to go back and feed ChatGPT to help with everything that you do, with the written content in your feed, to your web page, to your opt-ins, to everything. And the reason I bring this up is because in the hive, our clients are finding partners to do the interviews because you need someone to conduct the interview for you, right? And so there's community, there's networking in there. And that way you're not working on a framework on your own. And you can pop in for hot seats. I'm in there once a month, once every other month. Jackie's in there once every other month. We're doing guest coaching in there, but it is a front porch and it's a back porch. It's the front porch and it's feeding into our ascension, and it's the back porch catching everybody after they're done. We have even a higher level exclusive retreat that we're going to be launching in the coming year, probably multiple ones, because I'm opening up a luxury Airbnb. And our vision is like our hive clients and front porch, back porch, and our clients and our other frameworks will be kind of the first place that we soft promote it. We may not even go public at all because we have such an awesome internal community. Plus, I'm not sure I want strangers in my house where I'm sleeping, like so. So there's that. Um, so I don't know if that answers your question. Let's see. Yeah. So the Hive is not part of the purchase of the framework. Yeah, it is not a part of the purchase of the framework. So the Hive is a monthly membership. And when you go to purchase the framework, you will get a one-time discounted opportunity. Jackie, correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe you want to speak on this. I don't know if Jackie's still here. The Hive, the public price for the Hive right now is $67 a month. So if
Yeah, you can
yeah,
purchase it as soon as you buy the lead gen method. It's going to pop up and you will have an opportunity to buy it for $47 a month.
yeah. So over the period of a year, that's
And if you
significant.
missed it, just reach out to our team and we can hook you up with that offer. If you like skipped over it or something like that and didn't know what it was, we can help you out.
Yeah, absolutely. Just message us. Yeah. And if you're watching this replay, and you miss out, they'll be, I mean, that's an evergreen that's open, but you'll end up paying 20 more dollars per month to be in it because it won't be a cart bump later. Yeah. So, and again, strategically as a business owner, we want you to get the best results. So we want you to add the Hive so that you have some level of community because we know it's going to give you better results than trying to do it in a silo by yourself, right? Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Melissa, just message the team. We'll make sure we get you in there. Um, yeah. So Linda, yeah, Jackie's running hot seats in there next week. And if any of you are students of our past programs, like it's run very similar to our coaching containers where you submit your questions and we go in and review them with you live. Yep. Awesome sauce. All right, friends.
There's a question about the inner circle in there if you scroll up, Melissa.
Oh, okay.
I can read it if you don't get to
Yeah.
it.
Can you
Let
read
me
it for
see
me?
if I can find it.
Everything. Okay. So
Wendy
yeah,
said, yeah, she's struggling with selling to C-suite leaders with a business offering, not a personal offering. Is this something I would get help with in the inner circle?
absolutely. And this is where, and I tell you this in full transparency, like this is our zone of genius. We evolve as business owners like you do, right? For 7 years, we have proven year over year, quarter over quarter, we are ninjas with attraction marketing on LinkedIn, right? And we've built a multi seven figure a year business that is more than just lead generation on LinkedIn. We have learned and earned the right to be business mentors in the online space. And we have helped hundreds of clients at this point. And this is where Jackie and I are really learning when I talk about frequency and proximity of the clients you work with. We're in a phase and season in life where we're like, we love jamming out with exactly that. Clients who are building their businesses, trying to get through the front doors of corporate, trying to land contracts. We love talking high level business strategy from pricing to offers to like the front end, the back end of your entire sales model. And we've helped multiple clients literally retire from corporate America in the last 2 years from really monetizing their zone of genius. And that's what we're just realizing we're elevating as our company elevates, right? And so we're moving to an elevated customer that we really want to work to like hand in hand with on a weekly basis where they have our top of funnel strategy that's tried and true with building leads on LinkedIn and brand messaging and pairing that with our offer flow strategy and how you take that top of funnel traffic and monetize it. How you optimize your offers, price your offers, how you create sales strategies around your offers. And we work with folks who turn around and consult with corporate. We have people selling individual product. We have people selling, going webinar style, low ticket evergreen, small bricks and mortar. We have a chiropractor in the group, right? Driving traffic. So it's not a matter of what your offer is more than it is Jackie and I teaching you how to drive traffic in a strategic way all the way through your offer funnel from top to purchase, no matter what your end product or service is with the inner circle. And so with the inner circle, you get access to build, grow, scale. And some of you may not have heard much about build, grow, scale, but Build, Grow, Scale is our business mentorship where we teach the top of funnel marketing strategies beyond just LinkedIn. We're talking email marketing. You get our templates and our sequences for nurture, for freebie creation. Many of you are here because of a freebie, right? Many of you are here because we strategically put out freebies that convert. And some of you have freebies, and I'm gonna be honest, they probably suck and they're not converting, right? So part of being in the inner circle is our nearly a decade of doing this and seeing thousands of them come through and getting our eyes on your freebies and the minor tweaks that need to be made in order to actually be driving the traffic from the LinkedIn that you have to actually growing your email list. That little piece right there could be a huge piece that's broken for you that we can help you fix. That's inside the build framework of build, grow, scale. But then in grow, this is the customer journey to conversion, right? So this is all the way from how you're presenting the offer to how you're pricing the offer to your actual messaging around the offer. Conversion strategies are different depending on price, depending on audience, depending on service. You know, we've got clients who do $150,000 contracts with an extremely long sales cycle with corporate. We have clients running evergreens for, 15 bucks all day long, every day with Facebook ads. Very different sales model. We have experience with all of it. It's not a one size fits all. It really does depend on your audience. It really does depend on the price. And it also depends on your personality. Some of you are sitting here today and you're like, oh my God, I could never do this 2-day workshop, much less the 9-day workshops Melissa's done. Well, know that that's not the only way we drive revenue. And that's not how all of our clients drive revenue. It's email marketing. There's so many strategies outside of what you see front and center. And so that's grow is the customer journey to conversion where we're actually, and this is where you get access to all of my frameworks like decks, email sequences, and the technology behind what really drives what we do for visibility. Jackie has a ton of tech training, relevant to what you're building out with your business. And then scale, build, grow, scale. The scale phase of build, grow, scale truly is what it says. I have 6 principles in how you scale and your business. And I walk you through methodically how you can, once you have an offer and it's converting, how do we stack? How do we compound? How do we diversify? How do we create multiple streams of income? How do we create ascension, retention, cross sells, down sells, right? Renewal strategies, affiliate strategies. I could go on and on. This is the compound effect that creates diversity in your business so that you're not feast and famine and you're actually increasing the lifetime value of your customer. So we teach you how to keep your clients, right? Does that make sense? All the way to like client onboarding, offboarding, team onboarding, team management, hiring, like all the stuff. Like it's literally all the things. So is BGS a step up? So they're actually, great question, Linda. They are parallel tracks. So Build, Grow, Scale is a parallel track on its own that you don't have to do one to do the other. This goes back to what I talked about earlier where our offers talk to each other. We have many clients who LinkedIn is not their main source of traffic, but they want our business mentorship. So they join Build, Grow, Scale. And so their main source of traffic is something else. And we're teaching them how to drive that traffic into a compounding engine and offer flow, right? But when you join the inner circle, you get access to both sets of frameworks for the entire year. And it behooves Jackie and I for you to have access to both because we're going to coach you to it. Like you may show up, if you're in the inner circle and you come to Jackie and I on our coaching calls next week and you're like, God, like I've built the audience, I've got the traffic running on LinkedIn, but my email list is just not growing. We literally ran into this just the other day, right? We have a client who like, he's doing all the things with LinkedIn, but he can't grow his email list. And when we looked under the hood of his freebie, how it was built, it was all wrong, like all wrong. And the feedback we gave him was based on the length of it, the friction to actually move through the freebie. If there's a significant amount of friction, people won't do it. He was blocking his own opportunity because of his blind spot in freebie optimization, right? And so this is where Jackie and I are able to say, okay, Aaron, we need you to go back and watch this module inside of Build, Grow, Scale around freebie optimization. And we have a template we want you to download. And this is what we want you to do to tweak it, right? And so what we have found in our business mentorship and Build, Grow in Inner Circle is that we can actually leverage both frameworks on a weekly basis to customize coaching to our clients and what they need in that moment, right? We may have another client who's their freebies finally turned on and people are downloading it and they have no nurture on the back end. So what do I mean when I'm saying that? I mean, they are driving cattle off a cliff. They are collecting emails that are collecting dust, right? And so instead of them having to figure it out on their own, they take our email nurture sequence and they can customize it for their own. Like anything and everything we've ever built, our clients have access to. So they're not starting from scratch when it comes to frameworks for business and frameworks, obviously, for lead generation on LinkedIn. So hopefully that answered your question. Hopefully it didn't create more confusion. All right. When you say we only have the framework, we can't access questions while processing. Do we have answers in the Hive? We can't have questions. Yeah, great question. So this is, again, we are offering the frameworks at a fifth the price of our high proximity coaching inside the academy. So when you buy the frameworks, they are yours to run with no proximity of coaching. However, you can add the Hive, and that would be your source of support in that community, right? This is how we can make the framework so affordable. Those of you who are in or have been in the academy, you can speak to this. The reason the price is what the price is you get one-on-one audits in a group setting. Like you get live hot seats every single week with your questions answered. Like there's high level customization at that price point and overhead with my team. This is for the first time ever. I'm allowing more people to get their hands on the frameworks than ever before without the barrier of price for proximity of coaching, right? So hopefully that makes sense. But I highly suggest, Romain, if you invest in the frameworks, that you add the Hive because you're going to be able to jump in there and get some support in there. And you can also drop questions in there. We have coaches in there. We have alumni that could probably talk about LinkedIn better than I can that are also in there in the feed, right? Yeah. So great question. All right. Any other questions, my friends? We all good? All right. Well, I hope to see you all on the other side somewhere in 2025, whether it's in the Inner Circle. We see you grab the method in the Hive. Jackie's hosting in the Hive next week. I'm actually coaching in Inner Circle tomorrow. We're actually doing a business health assessment tomorrow. So if you join the Inner Circle, I'll see you in there.